So we're here at the Gate of the Sun, also called Inti Punku, which is on the road, the ancient Inca road, between Cusco and Lake Titicaca. It's about 45 minutes outside of Cusco. You can clearly see beautiful megalithic construction with all the little keyboard buttons that stick out. And then we have Inca construction on top of that, and further later construction to keep it built. And literally everyone who passed between Cusco and towards Lake Titicaca would have to go through here. It's believed it was a taxation site. Now, if it had a sacred purpose as well, we're unsure of, but we know it was used for more secular purposes during the Inca times, even up to when the Spanish arrived.
This is the Inca road. It actually goes through here.
Right through this gate here.
Right through here. But the thing is, the original gate was this one and that one over there. The Inca filled it in, and so this was the southern entrance to Cusco. So it was like a choke point. If you wanted to enter, you went through this one. If you wanted to leave, you went through that one. And you had to pay in terms of a percentage of whatever product you were moving. That's how they maintained the Inca road system, is that any civilian that wanted to use the Inca roads had to pay a percentage of whatever it was they were carrying with them. But this goes along with my theory that along this ancient Inca road system going to Lake Titicaca, you find megalithic sites, and I think when they reached this point, the first Inca saw this great wall here, this one and that one, and that's what guided them, because the road was here. This is what guided them to Cusco, and when they got to Cusco, they found an ancient city, and that's why they decided to build their capital there, was because it was the place of the ancient people, whereas logically they should have built their city in the Sacred Valley, because that's where all the food is. But there's a divergence, which we saw just up here, where the ancient Inca road travels right alongside the sacred river all the way until it reaches around this point, and then just beyond here it curves inward and goes into the Sacred Valley. But this road continues on to Cusco,
Which is uphill more.
Yeah, exactly.
Uphill to this. Cusco is in a kind of a horseshoe valley.
Yeah.
It's dead end kind of thing.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
I mean, in this, if we just look down the inner corner here, you can see the way they've kind of curved it around, and this is exactly the same style I've seen in the Valley Temple in Egypt on the Giza Plateau. So you really have to question were they the same builders, or were they at least inspired by the same builders.
But also you see the cracks in it are probably not the result of simply all the weight. This was probably another victim of the catastrophic event that happened possibly 11,700 years ago that partially damaged almost all of the buildings, including the Coricancha. The Coricancha was not intact when the Inca found it, or when the Spanish found it, or even when the Inca found it, because I found the very first topographical map ever made by the Spanish of Cusco, and none of the ancient buildings was intact. The Coricancha back wall had been replaced by the Inca. They tried to fill in all the missing pieces, but that's again why they probably call Cusco the City of Stone. It's the only city called that, because I think they found it, and went, holy shit, who was here? Let's build the capital.
This is andesite, I think. It's a volcanic, intermediate composition volcanic.
Oh, it's because you got different ones in the same.
Yeah, and that one's rhyolite, because it's red and it has little tiny dots on here that are quartz crystals, and there's a little white feldspar crystal right there, and it's red. So that's rhyolite. It's more iron rich and silica rich, and that's kind of intermediate andesite.
Okay.
So they picked up different rocks from different places.
Okay.
1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1.
just coming out of the main temple site here, there's actually some more polygonal looking stones. We saw the sort of cyclopean stones, very precision cut with the keyboard buttons on them. These ones similar, but they're kind of more puffy, more pillow-like, as certain people call them, and they still have the keyboard buttons. But it seems like, again, lots of different styles appearing at the same sites, which I find fascinating, and it really does suggest that they were reusing these sites, reworking them, reincorporating them even for their own purposes. This could have been once a sacred site. It could have then turned into a sort of taxation, something along the main highway here, and it could have been something else even later. So I find it fascinating.
We've picked up the path of Viracocha. There's an energy flow all the way up this valley, and it's a full width of the valley here. And these stones, which Chris identified as highly crystalline sandstone, are in these hills. So that's one of the reasons it's so powerful here, because we're in a crystalline valley. And Chris map dowsed this morning and map dowsed what he thought would be the path of Viracocha, which I hadn't even looked at. And then when we got here, I did the dowsing, and I said, this valley's full of energy. And he said, this is where he dowsed the line. And Brian said, oh, that's the path of Viracocha. So we found the entrance to it, or the flow of it. With entrance to it here at this gate, we're on the flow of it. It confirms, really, as we know anyway, that our ancestors chose energetic sites to build their sacred structures. Now, we've been told this may not have been a sacred structure. It may have been for it's purely a commercial entrance gate into the city, but it was certainly an energetic place, and I think people would have recognised the power here, and it would have been used for some ceremony. I mean, why is it called the Gate of the Sun? Maybe that's a modern name, but maybe it's a remembrance of something earlier, although it doesn't seem to be lined up with sunrises or sunsets, because this is due southwest down the valley. Look at it now with the mist in. It's so beautiful.
Oh my god.
So it does appear that we are actually on the path of Viracocha. This has been detected by dowsing, by Glenn Broughton and Chris Gulliver. The question now is this the same as the plume serpent, or is it a wholly different thing, and they just move along the same landscapes? We'll find out more as we go along, especially when we reach the vicinity of Lake Titicaca.